Hey guys, welcome back to the Diet Doc Life Mastery Podcast. I'm Dr. Kori Propst here with Dr. Joe Klemczewski. Hi, Joe.
How are you, Kori?
I'm good, thank you. We're in macro mastery again today, and big topic here revolving around lean body mass and dieting. I think there's a lot of confusion among a lot of people about what actually happens when you're dieting to your lean body mass, and is there a difference in what's happening with your lean body mass between dieting and or gaining weight or maintaining weight?
Well, lucky for you, Kori. I've been going through some notes.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So here is my, what is this, a 2-inch binder or so. This is all of my body composition data.
Those are your journals from how
This
many years worth of tracking your lean body mass?
I think the first time as I could find in my notes here was 1993. So this was when I was at the IU Medical School, the National Institute of Fitness and Sport. Already in my bodybuilding career,
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to be hydrostatically weighed anytime I wanted. So I really created this kind of crash course in learning physiology on the go as I was dieting for my contests and sometimes going into some big off seasons. So I know this particular question was prompted by one of our program owners and coaches, because no matter how much you know about this stuff, when you start seeing it in individuals and clients who have questions and they start questioning what's happening in their own bodies, it's tough to grasp a lot of actual data, a lot of secure information instead of just theoretical stuff. So I really wanted to get into some hard numbers on this.
Yeah, a lot of our owners have the in-body machines, and so their clients are standing on those regularly, and they're seeing shifts in water and lean body mass and total muscle, and I think they just get really confused about what's actually happening over time.
Okay, so let's frame this into 3 sections.
Okay.
We can lose weight. We can gain weight, and a lot of people do that intentionally, trying to gain lean body mass, and so they're overeating in a very meticulous way. But then there's a group in the middle who will say, well, I'm kind of want to maintain my weight, but it would really be nice if I lose a little body fat. I want to tighten up a little bit, but also gain some muscles. So I kind of want the best of all worlds.
I would put myself in that camp. That would be me in that category.
Yeah, and that was one of our coaches' questions. Like, what if you just want to train? Like, what if your body weight doesn't change? Are you really doing anything? Do you have any impact? Because everybody we work with wants to gain or wants to lose.
Right.
But there's always that magic middle where if you don't necessarily have a body weight goal, you still want to think you're doing something productive, certainly not destructive or catabolic.
Right. Okay.
So let me give you an example first, because I love this example. It's a really good contemporary long running thing in Brian Whitacre. So I met Brian. I think I competed against him before he ever won. It might have been the year he won his first lightweight world title. Did
you really? I had no idea that you guys were on the stage together.
Yeah, he won and I got 4th. And there was a long distance between 1st and 4th. There was no chance in my lifetime I could ever beat that guy. But I think that might have been one of his first couple pro shows, and that year was the first year he went on to win the lightweight world title. Then he went on to win 7 or 8 more lightweight world titles. And here's what happened to Brian. That very first show, I thought this guy just looked like a piece of paper, super thin, ectomorphic, tiny. And then when he would flex, like bam, all that striation and detail came out. But if you look at him from that first year all the way to the time he won the overall world championship, where he beat the heavyweights, the middleweights, and he won the overall Yorton Cup in the same year, every single year he weighed 165 pounds on stage. 165, 165, 165, 165, 165. Even though he put hundreds of pounds of strength on his frame, he was squatting and deadlifting hundreds of pounds more in that 10-year gap, span, he looked quite different. I mean, the year he beat the heavyweights and middleweights, you compare those photos to when he, won his first lightweight, you would think he had gained 20 pounds of muscle easily.
Sure.
Circumferentially, you could look at his arms and legs and chest and back and say, that guy gained some serious muscle. So how is it that he weighed the exact same weight?
You're going to answer that question.
That's the question, right? All right. So I know this is not a good visual here, but I started in 93, then went 94, 96, and I have a lot in between, but I picked these out to show the differences. My very first body weight as a hydrostatic scan was 169. Okay. My lean body mass was roughly 150 pounds, 149.7. So here's what happened between June and November of that same year. I gained 3 pounds. My lean body mass went from 149.7 to 152.3. So you would say I gained 3 pounds of body weight, and it was all muscle mass, which is just phenomenal, right? The problem is I had been coming off of a small dieting phase. So what I regained in that quite possibly could just be glycogen. It could be the amino acid content in muscle. When you are gaining muscle, our muscle fiber count doesn't change. We don't lose muscle fibers. Every muscle fiber is a single muscle cell. But the thickness of the actin myosin filaments, the sarcomeres, everything can get thinner or thicker based on the amino acid content, and the muscle tissue itself can store more or less glycogen depending on what's happening in the mitochondria. We can also have a little bit more or less intramuscular fat. So the appearance of a muscle cell and muscle tissue at large, even without the body fat surrounding it, the superficial body fat, is just, there's a lot more there than just a single muscle fiber.
So it's like what you're speaking to is intramuscular cellular volume. Right. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
Yeah. And I wish we could put pictures on here, because I mean, I have pictures of myself too, where same weight, different show, but I look just super tight. I mean, same body fat level too, but I look like I have 30 pounds more muscle on my frame, just as a result of that intracellular volume and water and glycogen. And so here's another thing, Joe. As you were talking, I'm thinking about muscle biopsies, like that next to like actual starvation, right? Where your body is actually going to catabolize muscle tissue is the only other way that you're going to lose muscle.
Yeah. And it really does take long-term starvation processes, and including, if you look at a sprinter versus a marathon runner, you see somebody who's catabolic a lot of the time. They have the exact same amount of muscle fiber, muscle cells that they started with. It's just one is trying to stay in an anabolic process all the time. And so here's what's interesting. 1 year later, not even a year, March of 94. Okay. So this is November of 93. I weighed 172. March of 94, I weighed 162. So now I had lost, I'm down 10 pounds. Yep. My lean body mass only dropped 2.5. So that means, the majority of that, I lost almost 10 pounds of body fat, but you could make two arguments here. One is, well, my gosh, you lost 3 pounds of muscle, but that's not, quote, muscle. That's that amino acid content. And look at the summer of 93, I went from 149.7 to 149.8, and I had lost 7 pounds of body weight in that amount of time. So I'm really doing a good job over time, because remember, these are data points on a timeline, doing a really good job of sparing muscle. Right. Then I get to November of 96, and I'm 163. So 2 years have gone by, I'm up just a pound, and yet my lean body mass is now up almost 2 pounds. So, but look, from the very beginning of this is a 3-year span. I go from 150 to 151 in my lean body mass. So just like Brian Whitacre, my weight and lean body mass and body fat can change, but the amount of gross muscle mass we have is determined. This is a physiological fact. Within the first 6 to 12 months of heavy training, you will gain 90 to 95% of all the lean body mass you will ever have. So Brian Whitacre in the off season, he would go from 165 up to 200 quite frequently and pretty quickly. So he's gaining 30, 35 pounds. And I guarantee at those heavier body weights, his lean body mass is going sky high, higher because of all the amino acid content and glycogen. But as soon as he diets back down, where's his lean body mass? It's right back down where it was. So genetically, this is the first most important thing to understand. Genetically, we have an amount of lean body mass that we can gain, period, under different circumstances. If I walk around and never train, that's where my lean body mass is going to be. Matter of fact, I'll show you another one. Here I am, I started 93. Here's this month, January, or last month. On an in-body scan, now I'm down to the 146 range of lean body mass, so down about 4 or 5 pounds, because the last 12 to 13 years of competition retirement, my protein is down, I'm just not training as heavy, so my lean body mass is coming back down to a genetic level that's commensurate with my actual training status and my nutrition status. If I doubled my protein intake and trained for 6 to 12 months like I was before, guess what? My lean body mass would go right back up to that level.
It's so fascinating.
So, I don't want this to make people think, well, should I even try? Like, if I'm not going to gain muscle, but you gain strength. If you look at this, I could barely squat 185 pounds here. Down here, I'm squatting 500 pounds, deadlifting 500 pounds. And the shape of your muscle changes. When you look at somebody like, Whitacre, and like what you said, in my own experience, your muscles continue to change shape and appear bigger. You are absolutely physically getting stronger, but the gross muscle mass you will possess is genetically determined and then determined on your overall body weight given the stimulus you're providing, but always within that genetic framework.
And we're talking about natural athletes here, folks.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to do any kind of performance enhancing drugs, then the sky's the limit, right? I mean, you can just keep going because you're inflating unnatural levels of testosterone. Yeah.
So knowing this, I mean, it's super crucial to pay a lot of attention to the nutrition. Genetics, we're not going to change, but to pay attention to our nutrition and optimizing that as best as we possibly can, and making sure that we're training in the most appropriate, effective way too. And I don't know that a lot of people are. Most people wouldn't be.
Yeah, it totally depends on your goals. So one of the things I couldn't find, this is what's funny, is this top bracket is when I was getting hydrostatically weighed at the IU Med Center. This is where I was actually getting DEXA scans done with a friend of mine who's got a DEXA machine at a doctor's office. This is now in body, but one of the ones I could not find here is where I had an in-body scan, and I had seen that I lost like 5 pounds of lean body mass, and then I came home and I increased my protein, and then I regained that. Well, since that time, I've let my protein come back down, and even though my strength is higher, my lean body mass is back down again. So I seem to have that 5 pound window of lean body mass where if I'm diligent, and I mean daily consistent diligence with my protein intake, then my lean body mass is right up where it was even 25 years ago.
Yeah. So you're making me think of, because I've hopped on the in-body over the last 3 or 4 years, and based on that data, I've not lost any lean body mass. Fat mass has, I guess, body fat percentage has been like within 1%. but my training has changed significantly. Like you and I have talked about, like, I'm an endurance athlete now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm training 1 to 2 times per week with resistance, except for what I'm doing on the bike. That's different, but protein intake has remained the same.
And first of all, you still have a nerve supply. You're still training aggressively, even though it's a different type of stimulus.
I am.
And, but for you to see decreases in lean body mass, which are sure to happen if you keep the same trajectory, but it will be super slow and gradual. It's taken me 12 or 13 years and cutting my protein in half to lose 4 to 5 pounds of lean body mass. And then I gained it back just like that as soon as I recreated my same nutrition environment that I had back when I was competing.
And I want to reiterate, when you're saying lean body mass, not, and then 5 pounds of muscle came back, lean body mass.
Yeah, which is, lean body mass means, again, the amino acid content, the density of those myofilaments in the muscle tissue. But another thing is, guys, we have, and I'll wrap up with this, we have intra-rater reliability issues. These are data points that have some variance, a 2 or 3% reliability issue. Yeah. So when you plot these things on a chart over time, that's really the only way to study something. When I say, look, I gained 1 pound here, 2 pounds there, that's so arbitrary. It could be that nothing ever changed ever. And if you stretch that timeline out far enough, you'll really see how little change there was in lean body mass, which is the point to this whole podcast. As long as you're training hard, you've got the right nutrition, you don't have to worry about losing lean body mass. You would have to be doing really stupid things like ketogenic dieting, or starvation dieting, or things like that. Otherwise, you're going to be fine.
Great, Joe. This was super enlightening. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Kori. And we will catch you guys next time. We will keep rolling through nutrition segments in the macro mastery category of our podcast, as well as great psych stuff. We still, Kori, are so behind on the coaching clinic. We need to get somebody in here.
Yes, we do.
Schedule that soon.
Work on that.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for subscribing to all of this content so you can get it, especially through maybe YouTube. But we will catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.